Hi, it's Mr. Kennedy here, and today we're going to look at column notation, so reading vectors, okay? So, we've talked about how column vectors are simply like translations, but instead of moving shapes, we're just going to point with an arrow what our translation actually is doing. That's what vector says, is what happens where we start and go, right? If we start at some point and end to the other, right? Doesn't matter. So positive x values move to the right and negative x values move to the left, just like our coordinate system on a graph, right? On an XY graph, we have positive x to the right and negative x to the left. We have positive y up and at negative y down. So if you ever forget how a column vector is set up, what do the positives and negatives mean? Just draw yourself a little axes. Okay. So we want to be able to find and describe vectors from diagrams. So step one, let's break up our vector into its parts, okay? So we are starting here. Whoops. We're starting at the tail end, right? So that's here. And I'm not going to overlap my line just so you can still see underneath it. I'm just going to go to the sides of it. So there. We broke it up into our x and y components. I've shown you that I personally like labeling this, well, x and y, right? So if I actually gave myself a vector, I could say, hey, this is vector A, and I could call this AX and AY, just so you, in case you have other vectors on there that you want to talk about. And I like denoting mine with arrows over top because it's hard to bold something unless you're writing on a computer. So standard is just to put an arrow above. So we are starting, we want to draw our column vector, right, because we know that it's going to come like that, and we'll start with our x, right, because our x is our top. So starting at our tail, then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're 5 in the positive x direction. Then we go 1, 2 up, 2 up is positive 2. So here, let's describe this vector in column notation. So I'm just going to get a dotted line, but I want to have an arrow on it, because that way we're showing that, hey, if we have to put these together after, we know what we're doing. So here, I can say that this is my x again, right? This is my y. If I know that my vector comes in x and y, it's a simple matter of just filling it in and counting. So this is why we want to draw arrows, though, because we're going left. So we're going 1, 2. So 2, but we're going left, so we're negative. Right? So those arrows tell us our direction on our components. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, and we went up, so which is negative 2 over 5. Okay. So I'm going to do this one a little bit differently, but notice that, hey, we don't actually need to draw those component triangles if you can just visualize it. So it's not a must. And it doesn't matter if we go this way and down or this way and down, because you know we've talked about the fact that we'll get the exact same answer, right? Because we're just looking how we move in the x and y. It doesn't matter if we move x and then y or y and then x. We'll get the same result. So here we're going 1 left, so negative 1, and then we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And down, so negative. So here are 6 different vectors. What I want you to do is pause the video, try and describe the column vectors for each. When you're ready, then we'll press play and we'll go through the answers. Okay, welcome back. So for A, my vector is going to be 1 over, I'm just counting the dark lines as one space, 1 over and 4 up. For B, I am going to have negative 2 to the left and negative 1 down. C, we have 3 to the right, so 3, and that's positive, and then 2 down, so 2, and then negative. So notice how sometimes what I'm doing is I'm just counting, and then I'm deciding the values after. So I know this is 2 and 2, and then I can look, well, it went to the right, so it's positive, and then down, which is negative. So you can kind of, lots of little things you can do to check your work along the way to make sure that, hey, am I completely out to lunch, or is this kind of on the right track? Here, I'm moving 1 left to right, and 2 up or down. Then it's left, so it's negative. I actually mostly find a lot of the times it's just easier to just go about it doing it all at once. But here we're going none left to right, but we're going 3 down.